Now it's time for America's Talking with clips from across the country, where we'll start in New York, where the New York Senate had some debates touching on the prospect of fraud in the Medicaid system. State Senator George Borrello, he urged the body to approve an audit of the state's Medicaid spending, he says is ballooning to half of the New York budget.
Medicaid accounts for $115 billion of a $260 billion budget proposal. Medicaid has gotten out of control here in New York State and is costing New York State taxpayers literally billions of dollars. Our Medicaid director has refused a FOIL request fully. Addressing that alone and finding that fraud, if it is indeed fraud, would actually eliminate all of the money that we are losing from the federal government. I know that's a big topic for the governor, all this money the federal government's cutting back. That's because they don't want to continue to support the fraud, waste, and abuse in New York State's Medicaid system. So we need to do this. We need to do a forensic audit of our Medicaid system.
Will they get to a forensic audit in New York? Clearly, that's something a lot of New York taxpayers are watching with that budget. Again, $260 billion, almost half going to Medicaid services. How much of that is fraud? You can expect continued focus on not just New York, but California, in addition to Minnesota and Illinois and beyond. Meanwhile, in Louisiana, during a hearing at their state house about various state programs and potential taxpayer spending for the coming budget, an official with Louisiana's Inspector General's office discussed how they go after wrongdoing in programs like Medicaid.
We do, when we see a criminal activity, we do turn it over to the appropriate law enforcement agency.
And let them handle it from there.
We generally investigate it because we do have law enforcement capabilities within our office, but the governor really would like us to focus more on this area of looking for opportunities to identify efficiencies and cost savings and eliminate waste and look for optimization opportunities in state government, because that's where the biggest return on investment is. He would like us to evaluate the office to make sure that we're not duplicating efforts that other agencies are currently doing.
So a bit of a balancing act there in Louisiana to go after fraud within social service programs, but at the same time, wanting to ensure that they have clean government that's not wasteful or duplicative. So we'll be watching in Louisiana as well. And again, you can get the latest at thecentersquare.com. In Arizona, they're looking at their Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program error rate, with State Representative Nick Cupper advocating to get the error rate down in the state of Arizona.
2020, there were multiple states, up to 20 at a time, that would end up getting their rates below 3% for decades. And then from 2020 on, magically after COVID, nobody was under 3% anymore. This is unfortunately part of this COVID hangover we're still dealing with, where we've allowed ourselves to fail. We've allowed ourselves to look the other way and just blow taxpayer money on people who aren't supposed to be getting it, or getting too much of it, or all these other things. And that's completely irresponsible. The department argued that it might cost them X amount of money to implement something like this. But at the end of the day, it literally saves $80 million going from 6% down to 3%. Saves the state $80 million a year.
Again, Cupper talking about what he called the COVID hangover of increased federal taxpayer dollars being given to states, and those states sending it out in a variety of different social services, including some of that going out to fraud. Well, that's it for America's Talking, with clips from across the country and state houses up and down the coasts and beyond. From my studio here in Central Illinois, I'm Greg Bishop. Join us Thursday for more stories impacting you, the taxpayer, from across the country, only with the Center Square Daily.